All right, everyone, ready to dive in. Today, we're looking at postpartum recovery and baby development.
Two huge topics.
Huge GE, right. And I always love when the articles you send have an element of surprise.
Oh, definitely.
This time, it's this thing called a Waff. Honestly, when I first saw that, I was like, are we talking brunch now?
Waffles.
Yeah, waffles. But the more I read, the more fascinated I got. Apparently, this is something that can benefit both moms and babies.
It is. And what's interesting is the Waff is a fitness tool, yeah, but it's also therapeutic. It's designed to help with balance, strength, flexibility, and then there's this whole proprioception thing.
Okay, you lost me at proprioception. Got to break that down for me.
It's kind of like your body's awareness of where it is in space. Like you can close your eyes and touch your nose.
Right.
That's proprioception at work.
So after childbirth, when everything feels a bit, out of whack, the Waff helps you get back in tune with your body.
Exactly. And the articles really emphasize getting a perineal assessment before starting AM postpartum recovery plan.
That's like checking the pelvic floor, right?
Yeah, exactly. And they recommend waiting about 6 weeks after delivery and getting guidance from a healthcare professional.
Makes sense. You don't want to rush back into things.
Yeah.
So is the Waff something you use after you get the all clear from the doctor?
It is. It complements a recovery program.
Gotcha.
Not a replacement for medical advice at all. But what these articles suggest is it can really help with common postpartum issues. Like a lot of new moms deal with lower back pain, or they just feel completely exhausted.
Oh, tell me about it. Those early days, I felt like I'd run a marathon just taking care of the baby.
Yeah, so the Waff can help rebuild core strength, improve stability.
Which is huge E. But you said this isn't just for moms, right?
Right, and this is where it gets even more interesting. The articles talk about using the Waff for sensory motor stimulation in babies.
Hold on, babies. On a fitness tool. I'm having trouble picturing that.
I know, right? But the idea is it gives babies a fun, safe way to explore movement. And that helps build this really strong foundation for all those developmental milestones, crawling, walking, all of that.
So it's about helping their little brains and bodies make those connections.
Exactly. And the articles list some pretty amazing benefits. They say the Waff can help babies develop a sense of security as they move. It encourages them to explore different body parts, and it can even help with relaxation and sleep.
Wait, hold up. A fitness tool that helps babies sleep better? Now, I really got to hear more about this, but before we go there, I got to ask, babies on a Waff, am I the only one a little worried about safety?
It's a valid concern, and the articles really emphasize supervision.
Especially with the little ones.
Especially, yeah, the really young ones who aren't mobile yet, so it's all about making sure they're exploring safely and at the right pace for their age.
So it's less about working out and more about providing that space for them to move and explore.
You got it. And the articles mention that the Waff often has different textures and surfaces, so that adds even more sensory stimulation for those little hands that love to touch everything.
Fascinating. I'm already starting to see how this could be beneficial. But you know what I'm realizing? We've talked about moms and babies separately, but this has the potential to be a really cool shared experience.
Totally. Imagine a mom doing some gentle stretches or balance exercises on the Waff, and her baby's right there next to her, just cooing and reaching out.
It becomes this bonding activity. And for moms struggling with that whole bounce-back pressure, it takes away some of that feeling of isolation.
Right. Like, it's not just about getting your body back. It's about feeling good in your body. It's about that mind-body connection we were talking about.
Okay, you've officially blown my mind with this one. We need to unpack this babies in the Waff concept way more.
Let's do it. It's unconventional,
okay.
Definitely. But when you look at those early stages of development and what kind of stimulation babies need, I think it starts to make a lot more sense. So we're talking babies on the Waff. Might seem a little counterintuitive, but the articles suggest that even before babies are crawling, walking, they can benefit from the movement. That sensory input.
So like newborns, babies who can barely hold their heads up. I'm still struggling with this visual.
It's not about, baby boot camp or anything. It's more about gently stimulating their vestibular system. That's the system that controls balance, spatial orientation. The articles say it helps them develop a sense of where their body is in space.
So like a head start on those skills they'll need later on.
Exactly. And remember, proprioception, well, the Waff helps with that too, because when a baby's on the Waff, they're getting all this feedback from their muscles and joints. As they shift their weight, even make tiny movements.
So a full body experience, even if it doesn't look like they're doing much. Okay, I'm starting to get it. But what about the practical stuff? Are we talking about strapping a newborn onto this thing? Because that sounds a little...
No. The articles are really big on safety and comfort. They suggest different ways to use the Waff with babies, depending on their age, their developmental stage. So a newborn, for example, might just lie on their back on the Waff,
Okay.
while a parent or caregiver gently rocks it.
That's a much better picture. So more about creating a safe space for them to move a little.
Exactly. And then as babies get older and more mobile, they can interact with the Waff in different ways. Maybe they're sitting up, reaching for toys on it, or using it to pull themselves up.
So it's kind of like playground equipment. Encourages that natural curiosity babies have.
Perfect analogy. And the articles also mention that the Waff has different textures, surfaces, provides even more sensory stimulation.
Which babies love. Everything goes in the mouth at that age, too, so.
Right. It's another way for them to explore the world through touch.
So cool. I'm seeing how this could really support those early developmental milestones. But you know what? We keep talking about moms and babies separately. But couldn't they use the Waff together?
Totally. Imagine a mom doing some stretches on the Waff, maybe some balance exercises.
And Libby's right there next to her.
Yeah. Cooing, reaching out. It becomes this shared experience. Bonding.
And for moms, especially new moms, it could make postpartum workouts feel a lot less lonely.
It's about more than just bouncing back, right? It's that connection, feeling good in your body.
Okay, this is mind-blowing. I got to play devil's advocate for a sec, though. What about babies becoming too reliant on the Waff? Like, what if they don't develop the skills naturally if they're always getting this extra support?
Great question, and it's something the articles address. They really stress that the Waff should be a tool to encourage development, not a replacement for natural exploration.
So it's all about finding that balance.
Yes. Giving them the tools and opportunities, but ultimately, they're the ones driving the process.
This is so eye-opening. I'm learning a ton about baby development and how important those early opportunities for movement are. But before we go any further, we have to talk about the professional guidance piece.
Absolutely. Especially when it comes to postpartum recovery, it's crucial to work with healthcare professionals.
They can figure out what each person needs.
Exactly. Address specific concerns and create a plan.
So if someone's listening thinking, I need a Waff, what's step one?
Talk to your doctor or midwife. They can help you figure out if it's right for you.
And how to use it safely.
Yes, they can also recommend a physical therapist or someone else who's experienced with postpartum women or babies.
So it's not just buy a Waff and hope for the best. It's about getting expert advice.
Exactly. And I think that's a good reminder for, well, everything. Informed decision-making.
Especially as a parent. We're bombarded with info, products, promises. Easy to get caught up in the hype.
Do your research.
Exactly. Seek out trusted sources.
The articles are really clear that the Waff is a tool, not some magic solution.
It's got to be part of a bigger picture, right?
Right. A holistic approach to well-being.
So not just the Waff. It's professional guidance, healthy diet, enough sleep, stress management.
It all works together to create a supportive environment.
For both moms and babies.
Yeah.
You know, what I'm taking away from this is a sense of empowerment. Now we know more about the Waff, and we can decide if it's something we want to explore.
Exactly. You have the information.
And the resource.
To make informed choices about postpartum recovery, baby development.
This is amazing. We started talking about a fitness tool. Now we're talking about well-being, community, even informed decision-making.
It's all connected.
Right. Like the Waff is the entry point.
It's a catalyst.
To this bigger conversation.
Yeah.
About how we approach well-being, especially during such a transformative time.
The postpartum period, early childhood, it's a lot.
And what's really sticking with ME is this idea of rethinking self-care. It's not just like spa days. It's about making choices that support our whole selves.
Yes. And creating an environment where both mom and baby can thrive.
And the best part, self-care doesn't have to be this huge thing.
It's going to be small things every day.
Taking a few minutes to stretch.
Deep breathing.
Or just being present with your baby during playtime.
It's about those little moments of connection.
Exactly. Yep. And I think the Waff, with this whole mindful movement, shared experience thing, it can help create those moments.
It does. It's like a space for moms and babies to connect with their bodies.
And with each other. You know, going back to mindful parenting, I keep thinking about that whole don't let it become a crutch thing.
Yes, finding that balance.
Between supporting them and encouraging their independence.
We want to give them the tools to succeed, but also step back and let them learn at their own pace.
And that's hard. That parental instinct is to protect them from everything.
Make their lives as easy as possible.
But sometimes, the best thing we can do is let them struggle a bit, figure things out,
It is. It's about trusting in their abilities, helping them develop resilience.
And the Waff can help with that too, right?
It can. As babies get more confident moving on the Waff,
I want to explore more.
beyond it, it's a stepping stone.
This is so inspiring. We've gone from a fitness tool to this deep conversation about mindful movement, holistic well-being, connection.
It's amazing what you can discover, right? When you start digging deeper.
Totally. And that's what I love about these deep dives. You never know where you'll end up.
It's a journey.
It is. Speaking of, we've covered so much ground today. What are some of the key takeaways for you?
For me, it's the mind-body connection. The Waff's not just about physical recovery or development. It's about well-being. Mental, emotional, too.
That's a big one. For me, it's remembering that even small things can have a huge impact. We tend to focus on big gestures, big changes. But sometimes, it's the little things that matter most.
Shifting your perspective just a little bit.
Or a small change in your daily routine.
And there's no one-size-fits-all approach to well-being.
Right. What works for one person
Might not work for another.
It's about finding what works for you, what feels good, what fits your needs.
And seeking out expert advice when you need it.
No shame in asking for help.
None at all. It's a sign of strength to know when you need support.
I love that. Asking for help is a superpower.
It is. It lets you tap into other people's knowledge, make more informed decisions.
It's like we're all in this together.
Exactly. We can learn from each other.
This has been such an insightful conversation. We've explored so many different ideas.
We have, and hopefully spark some new ideas for our listeners.
But I feel like we've only scratched the surface of this whole Waff thing.
Always more to learn, right?
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey. We hope you've learned something new.
Challenge some of your assumptions, maybe.
And that you're feeling inspired to explore the power of mindful movement.
And holistic well-being.
Remember, it's all about finding what works for you and your family.
And enjoying the journey.
With curiosity, an open mind, and of course, lots of love.